Welcome back. We stay with the state of our services. The Water Department says it will send teams to the 20 worst affected municipalities to assist with poor infrastructure management and institutional weaknesses. It comes after the Auditor-General told the Standing Committee on Public Accounts that the department and its entities are incurring billions of losses because of poor planning. Well, Scopa chairperson Songezo Zibi joins us now for more. Mr. Zibi, a good evening to you. What a tough discussion we had just moments ago about the value chain and what happens in our municipalities. Then you start to zoom in on some of the services that we're looking at. Pemima Jodina, the minister there for water, saying of the 144 water service authorities and municipalities in the country, 105 were performing dismally, the AG raising some of these issues as well. Is there a sense that we are able to, I suppose from an accountability point of view, really start to turn the tide on mishandling of finances where critical services like water and sanitation are concerned?
Good evening, and thank you very much for having me. No, we're not going to get a handle on the issue because at the end of the day, the quality of the administration at municipal level and really at all levels has got to do with the quality of the politicians in charge. They are the ones who hire the municipal manager, the engineering manager, etc., etc. And a constant refrain, both from the minister and the Auditor-General, is that a lot of the time you do not have the right people in place. And one of the reasons water service delivery suffers is that these municipalities use the revenue they generate from water sales effectively for other things. So they don't pay it back to the water trading entity, in other words, to the department, which can then use that same revenue to provide even more water services to water infrastructure, to more people. So it is a systemic problem. And we must just accept that we have a serious political problem in South Africa, which is hampering service delivery, in that the quality of the people in charge, unfortunately, doesn't meet the required standard at municipal level.
What do you reflect upon when you think about just some of the things that you certainly hear in the Standing Committee on Public Accounts? For instance, you had the SIU presenting to you some very unfortunate numbers, right? The Department of Water and Sanitation receiving 2.2 billion rand for a war on leaks program, but then investigations finding that officials paid contractors 4.7 billion rand. I mean, help me with those numbers. And then where do you even start with accountability when you've got double the spend on half the budget?
So we discussed this with the minister today. It happened before her time. For the viewers to understand, the Department of Water and Sanitation has no business fixing water leaks. It does not run a single pipe that goes to consumers in South Africa at all. Municipalities do. The state entity or state entities that are supposed to fight water leaks, and they are very, very serious. The city of eThekwini, for instance, loses over R1 billion in terms of water the value of the water that it loses. So it's a serious problem, but it's not a Department of Water and Sanitation problem. And what you ended up with, you've got an interference by the Department of Water and Sanitation using money and spending money, using inexperienced contractors with all manner of problems in the program in an area where they don't even have jurisdiction. So the entire thing was a waste of time, it was a waste of money, and people should be in prison for it. It's what I mean by the quality of political leadership, because if you had the right Minister of Water Affairs, you and I should not be having this conversation at this point. But at the time, it could be approved all the way up to cabinet, even though it was never ever going to do the job. That's a political accountability problem. And I have to be frank with people. It's the quality of the people South Africans elect. It's the cost of democracy in some ways. It's very frustrating because water is a fundamental right that every South African deserves and shouldn't have to beg for.
Because surely where you've got water leaks and an allocation of 2.2 billion rand going to the Department of Water and Sanitation, and you say, well, that's not the purview of the department. I mean, that's a technical error in just the allocation right from the beginning, right from the very beginning of what, one would call the value chain is we hear, Dr. Mkhize saying, let's go down the value chain. And of course, he's talking about local government. But from the moment of allocation, a technical glitch there where money goes to the wrong department?
It was not a technical glitch. It's again, like I said, this was a political decision. It's not a technical glitch. There's nothing technical about it. When you have people in office who've been elected acting in bad faith and putting in place policies that are not going to produce the outcome, if anything, they're going to waste and lose money, that is the outcome that you get. It was not a glitch. It was wrong-headed from the start. It was never going to work. One of the things we kept going back to, and it's important for South Africans to understand this, is that the Department of Water Affairs' mandate is to build large dams. That's it. They build large dams. There are water authorities like Amatola Water, Umgeni Water, Rand Water, and so on. Those entities transport that water from those dams into the municipalities and homes that should get that water. They are supposed to get paid for that service, and it is that money that is supposed to be used for further infrastructure development and for maintenance. Fixing a water leak on Vilakazi Street is not the job of the department in Pretoria. It is the job of the city of Johannesburg, for instance. And so we must not confuse the issues. That's why I'm saying the decision itself demonstrates what happens when we've got the wrong people in political office. And I listened to the conversation with your previous conversation, and the former statistician general is absolutely correct. But I'd like to expand on what he's saying by saying it's not just a technical problem. The people who make policy are politicians. When they do not meet the required standard, what you get is 3.4 billion going down the drain, and more billions.
Frustrating and certainly eye-opening for many South Africans listening to this conversation and really wanting to see improved service delivery. But I think an important look into really what happens down the value chain. Mr. Zibi, thank you so much for your time. Mr. Songezo Zibi, of course, chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, as we continue to look at what goes wrong in our local municipalities.